You know, it's weird because Alexander the Great is one of history's most famous people, yet there's so much that most people don't know about him. For instance, when he was born, his dad was only 20 years old, which means that Alexander grew up with a pretty young father. His dad, King Philip II of Macedonia, became the king of Macedon at the age of 24 and ruled over the kingdom until he was assassinated when Alexander was just 20. Now, that's some next-level fatherhood. In today's video, we're going to do a deep dive into the life of Alexander the Great, one of history's most famous and infamous conquerors. You know him, you love him, you may even be related to him. Yes, you heard that right. According to a recent DNA test, Alexander the Great may have had a son named Alexander Helios, who later became the king of Ptolemaic Egypt. This means that you could be a direct descendant of the great conqueror himself. How cool is that? Let's get started. Alexander the Great was born in Pella, the capital of the kingdom of Macedon, in 356 BC. He was the son of King Philip II of Macedon and his wife Olympias, who was the daughter of Neoptolemus I of Epirus. But that's not all. Alexander also had a half-brother named Philip III, also known as Alexander's half-brother. Philip III was the son of King Philip II and his first wife, Queen Eurydice. And no, they weren't related. It's just that King Philip II had a thing for the name Alexander. When Alexander was just 2 years old, his father, King Philip II, married Eurydice, who unfortunately died shortly after giving birth to Philip III. So when Alexander was just 13 years old, his father remarried, this time to Cleopatra I of Macedon. But let's not get confused here. This Cleopatra is not the same as the famous Cleopatra who later became the Queen of Egypt. Anyway, back to Alexander's story. His father sent him to live with his half-brother Philip at the court of King Amyntas III in the city of E. There he received an elite education from the best teachers of the time, including the famous philosopher Aristotle. Can you imagine having Aristotle as your tutor? Lucky. When Alexander was 16, his father, King Philip II, decided to launch a campaign against the Persians. Before leaving, he entrusted his kingdom to the regency of his wife Olympias, and set out to conquer the East with his son by his side. During the campaign, Philip was killed, and according to Plutarch, Alexander took his revenge by killing the man who had betrayed his father. At the age of just 20, Alexander became the king of Macedon and inherited his father's dream of conquering the Persian Empire. Over the next decade, Alexander led his army on a series of epic battles, defeating the Persians and spreading Macedonian culture and values across the ancient world. He founded new cities, encouraged trade and cultural exchange, and even adopted many aspects of the cultures he conquered, including their clothing, customs, and even language. One of the most fascinating aspects of Alexander's personality was his ability to learn languages. According to Plutarch, he knew how to speak about 40 languages, which was an incredible feat for someone living in the ancient world. In fact, his linguistic abilities were so impressive that some historians believe he may have had a form of autism called savant syndrome, which can cause people to have extraordinary abilities in specific areas despite having a disability. Sadly, Alexander's empire didn't last long after his death. In 323 BC, his empire was divided among his generals, known as the Diadochi, which led to centuries of warfare and instability in the region. However, Alexander's legacy lived on through the spread of Hellenism, which was the fusion of Greek and Eastern cultures that he had promoted during his lifetime. What's your favorite fact about Alexander the Great? Let me know in the comments below. I'm the host of this channel, and until next time, stay curious.